Everybody loves a good pantomime. Oh yes, they do. And now, thanks to aerospace workers in Bristol, we've discovered that this great British tradition has been successfully exported and is now entertaining audiences across the Channel. It would appear that there's nothing out of the ordinary going on here at all. Thousands of people from across the West Country work in the aerospace industry. There's definitely nothing unusual about a trip to the supermarket. And hundreds of people cheer themselves up in the winter by staging a panto at the local theatre.
Look at this!
But this isn't Swindon, or Gloucester, or Taunton. We're in Toulouse, in the south of France. And thanks to Airbus, the place is now crawling with more and more people from around Bristol.
When we first came down here, it was very, very rare to hear an English voice spoken when you're out shopping. Today, you're saying, oh, another English voice, what accent is that? Is that a Bristol accent?
In fact, there's enough Brits here to stage a full-scale pantomime in English every year.
Can we take a 10-minute break, please?
And this is one of their most ambitious yet.
It's probably the biggest number of people on stage and probably the largest number of difficult transformations and effects. It'll be impressive when it works. Hopefully on Saturday.
For 100 years, Bristol and Toulouse have collaborated in the aviation business, most famously, of course, with the creation of Concorde, which lifted off from Toulouse in 1969. Dottie and Pete Ewens first met 6 weeks later, watching Britain's maiden Concorde flight in Bristol.
Everyone had been given time off work to be allowed to go down and watch the takeoff. When you saw it actually take off and disappear into the distance, it was wonderful.
Taxi run into a takeoff.
Little did Dottie and Pete realise that their work in aerospace would soon mean a move to France. And as the first Bristol families settled in Toulouse, they chose to brighten the French winter with a pantomime.
I came in 1980. By the time we got to 83, we decided there were bits of the English culture that were lacking for our children as they were growing up. And so a small group of us put together the idea and within 6 weeks put on the first pantomime performance, which was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
The first Toulouse panto was just a simple performance in a local social club.
Because there are so many people here now, I mean, we were 15 families, 20 families originally, and now I think it goes into hundreds. A proper cup of tea, you have to get a proper English tea bag.
Even after 28 years in France, there are some home comforts that Dottie simply can't manage without.
I have a suitcase full of contraband tea.
In fact, there are so many Brits living here now, a whole industry has grown up to cater for them. As well as West Country food and drink, there are places to buy English books.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, bye.
There's an English-speaking school. This week, they're even having some truly dreadful English weather. And we're better to escape the wind and rain than a proper English pub.
Someone again, sir?
There's a lot of similarities. If I can't live in Bristol, then Toulouse is the next best thing.
The panto has come a long way since the early 80s. These days they perform in a full-scale modern theatre with an international cast of amateur actors. To mark the 25th anniversary, there's a time travel theme this year, bringing back elements of the very first panto.
This is the last full rehearsal without costumes before we go into the main performance on Saturday.
Okay, let's go.
But with just 2 days to go, every moment of rehearsal is needed.
Alice should be shutting in this musical interlude. You're playing. Be all right, Mike, as they say.
The evening before the pantomime opens, Pete and Dottie are still working on their dance moves, with a little help from the choreographer on DVD. If the rest of the show's as funny as this, they're gonna love it.
Finished!
It's the day of the first performance, and it's not the dance moves that are causing problems, it's the weather. A massive storm is rolling in. The theatre staff are concerned about the safety of the roof, but instead of calming down, the winds are now reaching hurricane force and the power supplies cut off.
Well, we've got no power at the moment. We've got no electricity.
In the hope that power will be restored in time, the cast put on costumes and makeup using just the emergency lighting. But the storm shows no sign of easing.
Okay, this is your weather forecast. Right, we're not going to have electricity for this afternoon.
And it's very difficult to put on a show with no electricity. It means you lose lighting, music, it means you lose everything apart from the good people in the audience or the good people on the stage.
The theatre is officially closed. Audience members are turned away. But one family can't even get home because the roads are closed.
So we've driven 3 hours today in the wind and rain to get here.
So Heather takes a radical decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are still going to do the show.
They're going to run the whole pantomime in the rehearsal room underneath the theatre.
Oh, yes, we will.
There's no staging, no lighting, no sound. Just a bit of daylight, a tiny audience, and the extraordinary good humour of the secret Panto Society.
We're the Seven Dwarfs.
I think we've gone through a time warp. I think you would have noticed the camaraderie and the ambience was very good, with everybody watching and cheering everybody else on and providing the music ourselves.
Heather says go ahead, let's go run through it anyway, so we run through it anyway.
Snow White!
Is she dead?
It's all right, she's breathing. Snow White, wake up.
Well, Shell?
With no tea, we managed to perform, give a full performance, and everybody was very happy to do so.
By the end of the show, the daylight has almost run out, but nothing's going to stop this lot from reaching their happily ever after.
You know what? Of course I'll marry you.
Whether in Bristol or Toulouse, this show of true British grit is surely enough to make the West Country proud. And you'll be glad to know that the power came on the next night and they performed the show in all its glory for the rest of the week. Well, that's about it for this evening, but here's a quick look at what's coming up next time.